Hi guys, so we are back with another video where we are going to discuss the answers and brief solutions of weekly coding challenge number 38. If you are someone who attempted this challenge and have any doubts about the questions, you are at the right place. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Today we are going to discuss another question on answer practice, that is resonant energy field redistribution. So let's understand the problem statement first. Now, the problem statement says that in a futuristic energy control station, N sectors are arranged in a straight line. Each sector has an initial energy level given by an array E and a required energy threshold given by an array T. You must redistribute energy across the sectors using a series of resonant redistribution waves. Each redistribution waves allows you to choose a contiguous subarray of sectors of any length and uniformly increase or decrease the energy level of all sectors in that subarray by 1 unit. This operation can be repeated multiple times on an subarray. Your goal is to reach or exceed the threshold Ti for each sector I using minimum number of wave operations. So let's try out our example first, and via that we'll be able to understand our question in a much better way. So in this example, this value, that is the one given previously, is our initial energy. Initial energy. And now this value is our threshold energy. So now in order to find the energy that we need to subtract threshold by initial energy, right? Because we need to find what is the energy that we need right now. So that is going to be threshold minus initial. So let's make our difference array. Difference, that is going to be threshold minus initial. So let's calculate it. So firstly, it's going to be 3 minus 1, which is 2. Then we are going to have 3 minus 3, which will be 0. Then we are going to have 3 minus 2, which is 1. Then we have 3 minus 1, which is 2. And then we have 3 minus 2, which is 1. So this is our difference array. Now we need to find, as the question states, that print the single integer the minimum number of wave operations needed to satisfy the requirement. So we need to make this whole value 0 in terms of sectors. And the sector means that once there are going to be 3 sectors. So a sector is, one sector can be a segment or a subarray wherein all values are greater than zeros. So it can be either a positive sector, it can be either a negative sector, or it can either be a sector wherein the value is 0. So if we see, in this we have 3 sectors. One is going to be this. I'll just copy this. Okay, one is going to be this. Wait, no. Or I'll just illustrate it over here using this. Yeah, one is going to be this. Another one is going to be this. And another one is going to be this. These are going to be 3 independent sectors. Now we need to find the minimum number of operations. So we are going to use a minimum value to make this difference 0. So when we start from 2 initially, I'll just reconstruct my array. 2, I have 0, I have 1, 2 and 1. So if I start from here, at first I have no option and my minimum value is going to be 2 and I have to use 2 in order to reduce this value. So my count will add 2 to it and now the array is going to become 0, 0, 1, 2 and 1. Okay. Now we need to find the minimum value from these 3. Since this is 0, we don't need to do anything on this. The minimum value in these 3 is going to be 1, right? So I'll add just 1 to my count. So my count plus is going to be 1. So now it will look like 2 plus 1, which is 3. So now my array will be 0, 0. I have subtracted 1 from here, so this will also be 0, 1 and 0. Now if we see our array, we only have this value in the middle, that is 1. So we only need to add 1 to our count to subtract this 1 from the array and make this whole as 0. So I'll just add 1 to it. Now count plus will be 1 and this will be again as 3 plus 1 equals to 4. And now my array is going to look like 0 and 0. So the minimum number of ways that we had to find is going to come out to be 4. So our answer is 4. Now let's check over here. It's correct, right? So the process of segment, this is exactly what we have done here. So total waves is going to be 4. So the minimum wave to make this initial and threshold equal to each other is 4, right? So let's try out another example for better clarity. Now in this example, our initial energy level is this and our threshold level is this. Now let's check for the difference. So the difference is going to be 2 minus 5 minus 3. Then we have 3 minus 2, 1. Then we have 3 minus 1, 2. And then we have 3 minus 0 as 3. And this is going to be our difference array. Now we need to find the segments and subtract the minimum from it to find the minimum number of waves required to change our initial to threshold. So firstly, we'll just use a plus 3 because this is a negative segment. So we can't add anything else to it. So I'll just add plus equals to 3. So now my count it will be 3. And my difference array is going to look like 0, 1, 2 and 3. Now what is the minimum value from 1, 2 and 3? It's 1. So we'll add 1 to it. Count plus equals to 1 and this will now become 3 plus 1 equals to 4. So now my array is going to look like 0, 1, 2. Now what is the minimum from here? 1 again. So I'll just use count plus equals to 1. So now my count will be 4 plus 1 equals to 5. And my array is going to look like 0, 0, 0, 1. And similarly at the end also, we'll just add 1 and our count is going to be 6 now. And now we have reached the final stage where all values are 0. So our answer for the minimum number of waves required is going to be, sorry, not 4, it will be 6 as we calculated over here. 6, correct. So I'll just write the simplest approach that we have understood while solving this. So first will we make a difference array. Difference array from the initial and threshold values. After that, iterate over the difference array. Check for same segments. And if segment same, find the minimum value from that segment, add that minimum value to our count and subtract from the difference array. And at the end, just return the count. So let's see the code based on this approach. So firstly, we have made the difference array and we have used long instead of int to fit our constraint. Okay. So now we have made the difference array first, ti minus I, ei. Now operations will be the minimum number of waves required. And we are starting from 0, so I is 0. Now while I is less than n, if difference I equals to 0, then I plus plus. We don't need to do anything in this situation. So this is an example of the case we considered over here. When we had this equals to 0, we don't need to do anything because this is a segment on its own and we don't need to add or subtract anything here to make it 0 because it's already at its optimal value. So just continue in that case. Otherwise, find the sign of the segment because when we started from here, this is a positive segment. But if we check for this is a negative segment. So for that, we first calculated our sign. Now from that value, we are iterating a j to check which all values come in the same segment as this. So we are iterating our j according to this. Now we are finding the minimum value from I to j. That is a segment of same signs. Now we are finding the minimum value here, adding the minimum value in our operations, and now we are subtracting this from our difference vector. And at the end, we are just returning this operations. Okay, so let's compile and check it. And it's correctly running. Let's try to submit our code. And as you see, all test cases are passing. So this is the correct answer. And I hope you've understood it. So this is going to be the solution for our question. The question for today is going to be turbine flow disruption. Now let's understand the problem statement. Now a problem states that in a futuristic hydroelectric facility, N turbines are aligned in a straight pipeline, each capable of controlling water flow by a certain value. Each turbine has an initial flow intensity. Periodically, maintenance system issues flow update signals to a range of turbines, increasing or decreasing their flow intensities. However, due to signal synchronization delays, updates do not apply immediately. They are deferred and applied in bulk at once when explicitly triggered. Additionally, engineers must query the total flow across a specific turbine range after any number of deferred updates. You are asked with a building to system, you are asked with building a system to efficiently one, handle deferred updates over a range, and two, apply updates in constant time using lazy propagation. So let's see our example. And in input format, we have N and Q that shows the number of turbines and the number of operations respectively. Then we have N space separated integers where ith integer is the initial flow of the intensity of turbine I, and next few lines shows the operations. So let's see this example. So here 5 is the number of turbines. Number of turbines is 5 and operations we have on it are also 5. So firstly, the initial value we have is this. Now let's jump to the queries. Now the first query states it starts with a 1. That means from the range 1 to 3, we have to add the value 2 to the values. And since this is one-based indexing, we'll add our values according to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what this means is we have to add 2 from the value 1 to 3. So this is going to be 3 plus 2 is 5. Then we are going to have 3 and 4, 6. Yes. Then 1 and 5 are going to be as it is. Now next is a query that begins with begins with 2. So with 2, it means that firstly, if we encounter a query that starts with 2, that means all the queries that started with 1 are going to be executed now. So this query was deferred, so it's going to be executed now. And after execution, we need to find the sum from the value 1 to the value 3. So the sum from value 1 to value 3 is going to be 5 plus 3 plus 6. So this is going to be 14. So first we'll have 14. Now next is we have a value query that starts with 1 wherein we have to do minus 1 from the range 2 to 5. So if we see range 2 to range 5 is this and we have to do minus 1 on it. So it is now going to be 5, 2, 5, 0, and 4. 2 to 5, right? So 2, 5, correct. So this is now what our array is going to look like. Now we again have a query that begins with a 2. So that means the one that we had here is now going to be executed. And after this, we need to find the sum of values from 2 to 4. So the sum of values from 2 to 4 is going to be 2 plus 5, which is going to be 7. After that, we again, I'll just After that, we again have a value that begins with a 2. So we don't have any one query that needs to be executed now since all have been executed so far. So we have to find the sum of values from 1 to 5. That means the sum of whole array. So sum of values is going to be 5 plus 2 plus 5 plus 4. This is going to be 10, 14, 16. So the answer is going to be 14, 7, and 16. Let's check the answer in this. It's 14, 7, and 16. 14, 7, 16. Correct. So we have done it correctly. So this is what the question means. So if we try to understand how we are going to solve this, we want that we need a data structure in which all the queries that begin with the 1 are stored as per their precedence and are executed on the basis of first come, first serve. Because if you see an example over here, okay, this is also 1 and 2, but if we assume that we have an example where we have a query 1, 1, 2, 3, and then we have a query 1, 3, 4, 5, and then we have 2, 1, 3. So we want that the one that came first, this should be executed, then this should be executed, and then we get the sum of values from 1 to 3. So in order to achieve first come, first serve value, we use a data structure queue. So this is what our approach is going to be based on. So I'll just write the approach for this. So first of all, we are going to make a queue data structure to store the values of indexes and updation. After that, we are going to check if type is 1, then push the values in queue. Else, if our type in operation is 2, then pop the values from queue, execute them, and after that find the sum from required values, required range, and add this append this sum in our answer vector, and at the end we just have to return this answer vector. So let's see our code. It will be more clear after seeing the code. So we made a queue data structure, and that is going to store left range, right range, and the value that needs to be added or subtracted. Now we have an answer vector that is going to store the sum that we have found here, this sum. Now we are iterating from 0 to q. Now we are checking if I0 is equals to 1. So this means that in this condition we need to append these values in our q data structure. So here we first took our L value as this, R value as this, and B value as this. We are subtracting -1 over here because we have 1 based indexing and we need to operate on 0 based indexing. So after that, we first find the values in this. We have pushed the values over here. Now we are finding the values over here, and we are inserting these values in a vector that we were given over here, initial flows. Now we are adding these values in a vector. After that, we need to find the sum of these values that were given to us. So here we are finding the sum. JL2R sum plus this, and at the end just push this value in our answer. And at the end just return the answer. So let's just try to compile this code. And the question for today is going to be cognitive waving neurotrigger network. So our problem statement is in a futuristic lab, a neurotrigger network consists of n cognitive receptors lined up in a sequence. Each receptor can be one of the 8 possible brainwave states encoded by integers 0 to 7 represented by 3-bit binary patterns. Each receptor can emit or absorb cognitive waves based on certain rules. You are given an initial array A, 1 to n, representing the state of each receptor. You have to process Q events. There are two types of events. First one is trigger range update type 1. For a given range L to R, apply a bitwise OR with a 3-bit mask M on all receptors on that range. And the second one is going to be stabilizing query type 2, wherein for all given range L to R, find the maximum number of receptors that can share the same final state. Your task is to handle all Q events efficiently. So if we see this example, and our input format is first line contains two integers n and q denoting the cognitive receptors lined up in sequence and the number of queries, and then we have the values. So let's see. So we have four receptors in this case, and these are the ways they are going to be lined up, and we have three queries to implement on them. So we know that these are one based, follow one based indexing. Let's just write it over here. So now the first one is wherein we have to check for values 1 to 4 and write the XOR operation with 2 on them. So in the operation, or I'll write query 1, our task is to write 3 XOR 2, then we'll again have 3 XOR 2, then we'll again have 3 XOR 2, and then we'll again have 3 XOR 2. This is what it's asking us 1 to 4. Now in the next part we need to find the maximum value that occurs from 1 to 4. What is the maximum value that occurs? And in the second one it's asking us from 2 to 3. That means these two we need to find the maximum value that occurs over here. So if we check in this we're going to get the answer. But I'll just write it over here. 3 XOR 2 is going to be 1. Then again we'll have 1. Again we'll have 1, and again we'll have 1. So if we check for 1 to 4, from 1 to 4, what is the maximum value of frequencies that are same? It's 4, right? Because we have 1 that is occurring 4 times. So our answer here is going to be 4. And if we check for 2 to 3, from 2 to 3, how many values we have that have the same values? We have 2, because both of these values are same. So now we are going to have two values. So the answer is going to be 4 and 2. 4 and 2, correct. So in this question, we don't need to do anything extra. We just have to follow exactly what the question is asking us to do, and we'll be able to find our required answer. So I'll just write the approach for this. Firstly, iterate over the array queries, and if our type is 1, then calculate the XOR and store in the array. Store in our array. And if our type is 2, then using an unordered map, find the maximum frequency of value from range L to R and append this maximum range in answer vector. At the end, just return the answer vector. Answer vector. So let's see the code. Things are going to be more clear by seeing the code. So firstly, we have made our answer vector, and secondly, I've made a vector start that is exactly same as receptors, but it is not recommended to make changes to the input value, and for that I've made a new vector. Now I'm checking from 0 to events.size. Firstly, I have type, then I have the left range, then I have the right range. I'm checking if type equals to 0, then find the value that is I events I3 that we are given over here. That is the value that we need to use to find the XOR. Like for example, if we have the value 2 in our array and we are given V as 3, we need to find the XOR of 2 with 3. So now we are checking from L to R and we are going to store in our start K the XOR of start K with V. So this is type 1 and it's done. If we have type 2, then I'll make an unordered map and I'm going to store the frequencies of all the values from L to R over here. And after that, I'm going to iterate in this map to find the maximum frequency. So this is what I'm doing over here. And after that, I'll just append this answer, this maxi value in my answer, and just return the answer in the end. So it's a pretty simple code. If I follow line by line in the question and do exactly what it says, let's try to compile this code and it's running. Let's submit our code. And all the test cases are passing. That means that it is correct. So this is going to be our solution for this question. And that's it for this week's questions. I hope this video was super helpful to you to understand how we decoded these questions and how we came up to our approach. If you're someone who's interested in coding and coding challenges like these, please don't forget to register yourself in the weekly coding challenge. The registration will be in the description below. And if you just want to check how you stand in the leaderboard or compare yourselves with your friends and your peers, this weekly coding challenge is for you. And apart from this, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such amazing content.